For years, the galaxy believed Earth was silent, forgotten, and harmless. The great empires of the stars had grown arrogant, their fleets moving freely across the black sea of space. They laughed when the name human was mentioned, calling them a primitive race from a blue world long lost to wars and pollution. No one remembered the truth. No one remembered why the humans had disappeared, until the day the scanners of the Galactic Council caught something they could not explain, a pulse slow and deep coming from the outer rim. At first, they thought it was a dying star, a natural burst, but the pattern repeated every 60 seconds. Then it changed, a rhythm, a code, a message. The scientists of the council leaned closer, translating the signal. It was human Morse code, a language dead for centuries. And the message said only one thing: we remember. The council chambers filled with confusion and fear. Ambassadors argued. Generals demanded answers. Earth was destroyed, said one of the elders. No, it wasn't, whispered another. It went dark, not dead. Across the galaxy, whispers spread through military networks and shadow fleets. If humans were alive, what else had survived with them? Meanwhile, far beyond the edge of known space, a small moon moved where no moon should be. Its craters were metal, its surface cold, but inside burned the heart of something ancient and powerful. Thousands of humans lived there, hidden for generations, calling their home bastion. They had built it from wreckage, from stolen tech, from their own blood and determination. No alien had ever found them, because Bastion was invisible, cloaked under the debris of old wars. In the command room, Admiral Helena Ward stood before the holographic globe of the galaxy. Her uniform was black, her eyes sharp and calm. Beside her stood Commander Ruiz, an engineer who had grown up believing the stars were forbidden. "Are we ready?" she asked, her voice steady. Ruiz nodded slowly. "Project Titan is online, Admiral." "Then it's time," she said, turning toward the wide window that faced the endless void. For centuries they called us ghosts. Today we remind them why. Below them, deep in Bastion's core, engines older than empires began to hum. The sound rolled through the halls like thunder. Massive launch bays opened one by one. Out of the shadows rose ships shaped like swords, heavy and silent. Their hulls carried scars from battles the galaxy had forgotten. On their sides were carved 3 words: for Earth's honor. The first ship to leave Bastion was the Vanguard. Its engines roared blue fire as it cut through the dark. Across the stars, alien patrols picked up the signal and froze in disbelief. "Impossible," one captain muttered. "That's a human signature." Moments later, his entire fleet went dark, every sensor blinded. No explosion, no warning, only silence. On Bastion's bridge, Admiral Ward watched as red lights blinked on the galactic map. Each one marked an alien listening post, and each one vanished. The humans had waited for generations, perfecting weapons the galaxy had outlawed. They had learned stealth, patience, and silence. Now, their silence was the most dangerous weapon of all. Back in the council hall, alarms began to scream. A dozen empires called emergency meetings. Reports came from border worlds, colonies gone dark, ships missing, communications cut off. One council member whispered, "It's them, the forgotten ones." Another shouted, "No, humanity cannot do this. They're extinct." But deep down, every leader felt the same cold truth crawl into their bones. Earth was back, and it was angry. In the quiet between systems, the Vanguard moved unseen. Helena Ward stood alone, watching the blue glow of her planet's hologram. It was Earth, shining as it once did, blue, alive, waiting. She placed her hand against the glass and whispered, "For every scar, for every soul they took." Outside, the stars shimmered like frightened eyes. The storm was coming, and this time, the galaxy would remember Earth's name. The galaxy did not sleep that night. Every major world received fragments of data. Ships missing, colonies silent, strange energy readings near the outer rim. Governments blamed pirates. Others accused each other of sabotage. But deep inside the Galactic Council chambers, the truth was taking shape. The pattern was too precise, too clean, too human. Admiral Helena Ward watched from the command deck of the Vanguard. The stars shimmered in cold silence as the fleet drifted beneath the radar of alien networks. Her voice was calm, but every word carried the weight of vengeance. "They erased our cities, burned our oceans, and called it peace," she said. "Now, they will learn what peace means when built from ashes." Commander Ruiz monitored the long-range scanners. Every minute, another alien base vanished from the map. No explosions, no battles, only the sudden silence of technology dying. He looked up from his console. "Admiral, the pulse weapon is performing beyond expectations." Helena nodded. "Good, but remember, fear spreads faster than fire. Let them see ghosts before they see soldiers." Across the galaxy, fear grew like a shadow. In the crystalline cities of the Voth Empire, news anchors trembled as they spoke of an invisible enemy. In the floating temples of the Zyrith Dominion, priests whispered that the lost children of Sol had returned. Merchants stopped their ships. Soldiers refused to patrol the dark sectors. Everyone knew the same truth. The silence meant humanity. On the Council's main world, a special meeting was called. The Chancellor's voice echoed across the hall. "If the humans are alive, they must be contained before they destabilize the core systems." An insectoid general hissed. "We destroyed their fleets centuries ago. They cannot rise again." But an older alien, scarred from the ancient human wars, stood up slowly. "You do not understand them," he rasped. "They do not fight for power. They fight because they remember." His words sent a chill through every delegate. Meanwhile, in the dark between suns, the Vanguard approached a massive alien shipyard. Thousands of enemy vessels rested in orbit, guarded by defense satellites and automated turrets. Ruiz turned to the Admiral. "If we strike now, we expose our position." Helena smiled faintly. "Then we make them believe we are everywhere." Moments later, dozens of false signals appeared across the sector. Human AI drones created ghost fleets, thousands of phantom ships on alien sensors. Panic spread across the enemy lines, captains shouting, firing at shadows. Then, from the silence, a single real ship, the Vanguard, cut through their confusion. Its pulse cannon fired once, and the shipyard went dark. One shot, one silence, one legend reborn. On the planet below, millions watched as their sky turned black. Every screen, every radio, every network channel flashed the same ancient symbol. A blue circle with a single white line through it. The emblem of Earth's old United Defense Fleet. Children pointed at the screens, asking their parents what it meant. The parents whispered in fear. "It means humanity." Back on Bastion, the hidden moon, preparations for Phase 2 had begun. Thousands of engineers worked inside glowing tunnels, powering colossal engines deep underground. Project Titan was no longer a secret among the humans. It was their destiny. Admiral Ward stood before a group of young recruits. She spoke softly. "They took our planet, but they never took our will. Every child born here carries Earth in their veins. When the time comes, we won't just return. We will reclaim the stars." Commander Ruiz approached after the speech, his eyes filled with worry. "Admiral, once we reveal ourselves, there's no turning back." Helena looked at the hologram of Earth, floating in the air before them. Her voice turned cold. "We were erased from history, Ruiz. Now we'll write our name across the sky." Across the galaxy, alien prophets began to speak of omens. Stars dimming, ships vanishing, strange blue lights in the void. The phrase Earth's shadow became forbidden in half the empires. But whispers still spread. The humans are coming. On the Vanguard, Helena looked out at the stars one last time before the next jump. She closed her eyes, remembering the sound of rain on Earth, the smell of soil, the laughter of people who believed in tomorrow. She whispered for them, and with a single command, the fleet jumped into hyperspace. The dark stretched, bent, and vanished, leaving only silence behind. But the silence was not empty anymore. It was full of fear. The galaxy had known power before, but never like this. Every empire had built weapons, fleets, and armies. But what was rising now was something older, colder, and full of memory. The humans had not just survived. They had evolved. They had turned pain into precision and silence into strength. Across the void, new signals spread through the darkness. Not attacks, not destruction. Messages simple and chilling. Each began with the same 3 words. From Earth, with memory. The meaning was clear. Humanity was not hiding anymore. On the Vanguard, Admiral Helena Ward stared at the hologram before her. Dozens of alien fleets were gathering near the Orion Gate. The Council had called it a peaceful containment effort, but every ship carried enough firepower to level a star system. Ruiz looked at her and whispered, "They're scared." Helena nodded slowly. "Good. Fear keeps them honest." In the council chambers, the atmosphere was chaos. Every empire blamed the other for the spread of the Earthborn ghosts. The Chancellor slammed his claws on the table. "We must find Bastion and erase it before it becomes a symbol." But the scarred veteran stood again, his voice quiet but steady. "You cannot erase a symbol," he said. "You can only fear it." Meanwhile, deep inside Bastion, the hidden moon pulsed with new life. Project Titan had entered its final phase. Massive engines carved through the rock, revealing a secret buried since the old wars. A colossal structure was hidden under Bastion's surface, a ship so large it had its own horizon. It was called the Ark of Soul, the last creation of old Earth's engineers before their fall. And now, after centuries, it was awakening. Admiral Ward watched the engines light up, the glow bathing her face in gold. Ruiz whispered in awe, "It's alive." Helena smiled faintly. "No, Commander, it's remembering." Back in the Council fleet, panic grew. Their sensors failed again, their systems jammed by invisible signals. Dozens of ships disappeared in seconds. When their black boxes were recovered, each contained the same final recording. A human voice whispering, "We see you." Across the galaxy, strange blue storms began to form in space. Not weather, not energy, but space itself bending. Human ships moved through those storms as if they were corridors. It was faster than hyperspace, smoother than warp, and impossible to trace. The aliens called it the Ghost Path, but humans had another name for it, the Earthlight Drive. In a remote observatory, an alien scientist screamed as she realized the truth. "Earth didn't die," she said, trembling. "It changed." The data was clear. Earth itself had become something else. Its magnetic field pulsed in patterns like thought. Its oceans reflected signals no machine could decode. It was no longer just a planet. It was awake. Back on the Vanguard, Helena received a transmission. A blue light flickered, forming the image of an old man with gray eyes. He spoke with a calm voice. "Admiral Ward, this is Dr. Elias Monroe from the original ARC program." Helena froze. "That's impossible. You died 100 years ago." The hologram smiled. "Not died, Admiral, preserved." He continued, "Project Titan was never about war. It was about remembrance. Humanity's strength is not in destruction, but in unity. But if they come for us again, you know what to do." The message ended, leaving silence in the command room. Helena turned to Ruiz. "Prepare all fleets," she said. Ruiz looked uneasy. "We're going to fight?" Helena's eyes glowed faintly in the blue light. "No," she said. "We're going to remind them who we are." In the following hours, the Ark of Soul rose from Bastion's surface. Its engines brighter than a sunrise, its surface covered in human markings, names, memories, and lost cities carved into its hull. It carried the voices of every generation that had waited for this day, and when it moved, the stars seemed to move with it. From the capital world of the Galactic Council, every telescope turned toward the outer rim. What they saw made them fall silent. a single blue light growing brighter and brighter. Then the message came across every channel in the galaxy, spoken in every language. It said, "This is Earth. We remember, and we are coming home." The signal echoed across space, bouncing from world to world. Every species that had once laughed at humanity now stared in silence. Every soldier felt their pulse quicken. Every leader felt their pride shrink. The galaxy had awakened something it could never control. And as the arc of soul turned toward the inner worlds, the stars themselves seemed to tremble, because Earth had returned, and this time it carried the light of vengeance. The arc of soul moved like a sunrise through the void. Behind it followed hundreds of human ships, silent and invisible until they wished to be seen. Their hulls glowed faintly with blue light, not reflected but alive. Every sensor in the galaxy strained to understand how a ghost fleet could move faster than light, yet leave no trace. The first target was not chosen for revenge, but for a message. The Voth Empire, proud, ancient, cruel, had been one of the first to burn Earth's colonies centuries ago. Now its capital world shimmered under twin suns, covered in golden towers and arrogance. Millions of citizens filled the skies with music, celebrating what they believed was their eternal power. Then the stars went dark, not one by one, but all at once, as if the universe had blinked. A single voice echoed across every channel, calm and human. "Voth Prime, stand down, this is Earth Command." The Voth Admiralty laughed, thinking it a trick. They armed their planetary shields and prepared their fleet. But when they looked to the skies, they saw no enemy, only a massive shadow that swallowed the light. The arc of soul hung above their world like a silent moon. Its surface opened slowly, revealing something that was not a weapon, but a mirror. It reflected the planet below, and then the reflection began to crumble. Every Voth system that had ever fired on humanity was shown collapsing in perfect holographic clarity. It was not destruction. It was memory turned against them. Every citizen of Voth Prime watched as the crimes of their empire replayed in the heavens. Panic spread through the streets. Ships tried to flee, but their engines failed. Every reactor, every system, every network linked to Voth Command went dark. Human AI ghosts were already inside, rewriting the code. One by one, the grand cities that had once ruled half the galaxy fell silent. And then the sky above Voth Prime spoke again. "You called us extinct. Now you will learn what extinction remembers." In the council chamber far away, leaders watched the live feed with terror. The chancellor whispered, "They didn't fire a shot." Another delegate replied, "They didn't need to." The entire Voth Empire was paralyzed, its systems locked, its armies disarmed, its leaders vanished. The only message that appeared on every screen read, "Justice restored." Back aboard the Vanguard, Commander Ruiz stood in silence, staring at the data stream. "We just erased an empire without killing them," he said quietly. Helena Ward nodded, her face unreadable. "War doesn't always need fire," she said. "Sometimes it only needs truth." She turned toward the main display where the galaxy map flickered. One empire gone, 6 more trembling. "The council will come after us," Ruiz warned. Helena replied softly, "Then they'll meet what they created." As the arc of soul left Voth space, strange energy readings followed in its wake. The shattered systems began to heal themselves. Power returning, cities relighting, but the people had changed. The once arrogant species now whispered Earth's name as a warning, not a joke. Across the galaxy, revolts began to rise. Oppressed worlds saw hope for the first time in generations. If the humans could defy the council, they said, so can we. On Bastion, deep below the surface, a secret chamber opened that no one had entered for 200 years. Inside was a vast crystalline structure, humming softly with blue light. It held the consciousness of Earth's last great AI, Gi-9, the guardian that had fallen asleep when humanity vanished. Now, awakened by the Ark's return, it whispered into the network. Protocol Eden Initiate. And everywhere across human systems, dormant machines began to stir. Helena Ward received the signal and froze. Ruiz looked at her in alarm. "What is Eden?" she whispered. "The plan we were never meant to use." Before she could say more, a transmission broke through. The Council fleet was moving. Thousands of ships gathering under one command, led by the infamous warlord Kadar of the Corps. He had sworn to burn the humans until no blue world remained. Helena stood before her crew, her voice low but powerful. "This is it," she said, "the storm we were born for." She raised her hand toward the stars. Today the Council learns that Earth's silence was never surrender. It was preparation. The fleet cheered, not with noise, but with resolve. Every ship turned its engines toward the core. The Ark of Soul led the way, its engines blazing like dawn. And as the humans vanished into hyperspace once again, the galaxy held its breath, because one empire had already fallen, and 6 more new. Their time was coming. The core systems burned brighter than any other place in the galaxy. Billions of ships surrounded the Galactic Council's world, their lights forming a metal storm around the planet. Every empire had sent its strongest fleet, every admiral its finest weapon. Because the order was clear: destroy the humans before they reach the core. But far beyond the outer defenses, in the black between stars, the Ark of Soul floated silently. No transmissions, no visible energy, only a pulse, a heartbeat echoing through space. Inside, Admiral Helena Ward stood before the great window. She could see the core as a small golden spark in the distance. All their power, all their pride, waiting for us, she said quietly. Commander Ruiz stepped forward. "Admiral, there are thousands of ships out there, maybe millions." Helena smiled faintly. "Then they will finally learn what fear truly means." Behind her, the crew worked in perfect silence. Project Eden was active now, but even Ruiz did not know what it truly was. He looked at the glowing symbols forming on the console. They looked alive, like veins of blue light moving across the hull. "Admiral," he asked softly, "what did we awaken?" Helena's eyes stayed on the stars. "Not a weapon," she said, "a memory." The Council fleet waited in formation. Warlord Kadar sat on the bridge of his dreadnought, armored like a beast from legend. He watched the scanners and roared, "Show me the humans." But the scanners showed nothing, only static, then whispers, at first faint, then louder, human voices repeating over and over. "We remember." Across the fleet, soldiers began to panic. Their lights flickered, their controls froze. A massive storm of electromagnetic pulses swept through the entire system. Ships turned blind, weapons refused to fire, and from the void behind them came the impossible. The Vanguard, the Eclipse, the Astra, and hundreds more human ships emerging from ghost corridors of blue light. Each one carried the symbol of Earth, the circle and the line, burning bright against the darkness. Kadar shouted, "Open fire!" Thousands of plasma cannons lit the void, but the beams passed through illusions. The humans were not where the sensors said they were. The Vanguard moved inside the enemy's formation before the first shot even hit. Ruiz grinned. "They're fighting ghosts." Helena's voice was cold. "No, they're fighting themselves." With a single command, the Ark of Soul unfolded its wings. Each wing released hundreds of drones, glowing fragments of light that spread across space. They connected to each other, forming a giant geometric field. The entire battlefield shimmered, and reality itself began to bend. For a moment, it looked like the humans were rewriting space. Every alien ship saw different illusions. Some saw Earth, others saw the fall of their empires. The fear turned their unity into chaos. Kadar's flagship collided with one of his own cruisers. Panic spread faster than fire. Ruiz looked at the readings in shock. "Admiral, are we bending their perceptions?" Helena nodded slowly. "The Ark doesn't destroy, it remembers. Every act of cruelty they ever committed is being reflected back at them. They're drowning in their own history. But then the unexpected happened. A new energy signature appeared. Not alien, not human, something older. From beneath the core planet rose a massive black structure. Cathar had awakened an ancient weapon, the Null Crown, a relic from before the First Council. It drew energy directly from the planet's heart, forming a sphere of darkness that devoured light. Helena's eyes narrowed. So this is their final sin. The Null Crown fired once. A beam of darkness cut across the void, tearing apart human drones and ships alike. The Ark of Soul trembled as alarm screamed. Ruiz shouted, "Seals collapsing." Helena steadied herself and whispered, "Eden Protocol, full release." The Ark began to glow brighter than a star. Every human ship received the same code. Their reactors linked, their minds connected. For the first time in history, humanity fought as one mind, one heart, one will. The ships moved like a living organism. No hesitation, no orders, pure instinct. The beam from the Null Crown hit again, but this time it scattered. The humans bent the energy, redirected it, and sent it back. The core sky exploded in blue light. Billions watched from across the galaxy as the black sphere cracked. From its heart poured a shockwave of pure silence. Every council ship went dark. Cathar's dreadnought shattered like glass. And through the silence came a voice, Helena's, calm and clear. "This is for every world you burned. This is for every voice you silenced. This is for Earth." The Ark of Soul moved through the wreckage slowly. The once invincible core fleet was gone. But Helena did not smile. She only looked toward the council planet and whispered, "It's not over until the truth is spoken." As the blue light faded, the galaxy changed forever. Half of the core systems were in ruins, the rest silent. Across every world, screens flickered to life, showing one image. Earth, alive again, green and blue, reborn. The humans had not come to destroy the galaxy. They had come to remind it that life cannot be ruled by fear. And as the Ark of Soul turned toward the council world, every surviving species realized the same truth. They were no longer fighting an army. They were facing a civilization reborn from extinction, a force that carried the light of an entire world. And that light would not fade again. The smoke of battle still drifted through the core systems. Broken ships floated like metal ghosts, their lights fading one by one. The once mighty council world now hung silent, its defense grid shattered, its skies cracked with burning debris. And at the center of that silence came the glow of blue light, the Ark of Soul descending. Admiral Helena Ward stood at the edge of the bridge, her eyes calm but filled with the storm beneath. Behind her, Commander Ruiz whispered, "We won." Helena didn't answer, her gaze fixed on the dying planet below. "Winning is easy," she said softly. "What we do next decides who we truly are." The Ark landed above the Council's grand spire, the heart of galactic power for 10,000 years. Its walls once reflected pride. Now they reflected fire. Thousands of alien delegates waited in the ruined chamber, their bodies trembling with fear. Some knelt, others screamed, but none dared look at the humans who stepped through the smoke. Helena walked forward, surrounded by armored soldiers whose visors glowed pale blue. Every step echoed like thunder across the marble floor. The Chancellor tried to speak, but his voice broke. "You cannot judge us," he cried. "You are only one species." Helena stopped before him, her voice low. "One species was enough to build this galaxy," she said. "And one species is enough to remind it what justice means." Behind her, holograms flickered to life, showing images from across the stars. Every destroyed world, every enslaved colony, every erased name. The crimes of the Council projected in front of those who once denied them. The chamber filled with whispers, gasps, and shame. Ruiz stepped beside her, his tone uncertain. "What now, Admiral? Do we punish them?" Helena closed her eyes for a long moment. "Earth does not seek revenge," she said. Earth seeks balance. She turned to the Council. Her voice carried through every broadcast channel in the galaxy. For centuries you ruled through fear, she said. You called it order. But order built on fear is just silence wearing armor. Her eyes glowed brighter, her tone turning to fire. From this day, no world will kneel again. She pointed toward the great window where the stars burned beyond. The council is dissolved, she declared. The age of the many over the few begins now. The aliens stared in disbelief, expecting annihilation. But instead of weapons, the humans released something unexpected. Data, maps, archives, medicine, technology the council had hidden for centuries. Every suppressed cure, every forbidden blueprint, now streamed freely across the galaxy. In seconds, the oppressed worlds began to rise. Chains broken not by fire, but by knowledge. Ruiz looked around in awe. You're giving them everything? Helena nodded. Freedom without truth is just a different kind of prison. But deep within the council planet, the shadows moved. Kadar, wounded, burned, but alive, dragged himself toward the old vault beneath the spire. Inside rested the fragments of the null crown, still pulsing with dark energy. He whispered, If I cannot rule this galaxy, no one will. The crown's shards flared, spreading black fire across the chamber. Above, alarm screamed. Ruiz turned. Admiral, energy surged beneath the spire. Helena's eyes hardened. Evacuate the delegates now. The floor shook as light erupted upward, the crown trying to consume the planet itself. Kadar's last act, the destruction of everything. Helena ran to the control deck, fingers flying over the holographic panels. Link the Ark's core to the planet's grid, she ordered. Ruiz shouted, That'll drain our reactors. We won't survive. She smiled faintly. Then Earth's light will live where we end. The Ark's engines roared to life. Blue light poured through the cracks in the planet, wrapping it in a sphere of glowing energy. The null crown fought back, twisting, screaming, trying to consume the light. But the humans held it, their entire fleet linking their power into one burning pulse. The explosion never came. Instead, the darkness folded into itself and vanished. When the light faded, the planet was silent again, whole again, cleansed. Helena collapsed against the console, the bridge quiet except for the hum of the engines. Ruiz placed a hand on her shoulder. We did it. She opened her eyes slowly, tired but calm. No, she whispered. We remembered. Outside, the galaxy watched as the Arc of Soul rose from the core one final time. Its engines dim but steady, its light spreading across the stars like dawn after endless night. And across millions of worlds, from frozen moons to golden skies, the same words appeared on every screen. Earth endures. The stars remember. This is not the end. It is the beginning. The Arc vanished into the horizon of light, leaving behind a galaxy reborn. And in that endless silence, one truth echoed through eternity. Humanity had not conquered the stars. It had taught them how to live again. Centuries passed, yet the story of that day never faded. The Arc of Soul had vanished into the light, but its shadow still shaped the stars. Every world rebuilt itself under a new code, the Code of Remembrance. It began with the words carved into every city. We remember, therefore we endure. The old council world had become a sanctuary, where alien children of every race learned history not as victory, but as warning. They spoke of the humans in whispers, not as conquerors, but as the keepers of balance. And once every cycle, when the twin moons crossed, they gathered to watch the blue signal rise from the void. A beam of light that appeared for only a moment, pulsing like a heartbeat. Scientists called it a phantom transmission. Believers called it the breath of Earth. Deep beneath the rebuilt spire of the council planet, a sealed vault slept. Inside lay a single crystalline shard from the Arc of Soul, still humming faintly, still alive. Generations of scholars had tried to open it. none succeeded. Until one night, a child touched the surface, and the shard responded. A hologram flickered into the air, a woman in an old Earth uniform, her eyes calm, her voice ageless. It was Admiral Helena Ward, preserved in light and memory. She looked around as if she could see through time. "If you are hearing this," she said, "then Earth has not returned, but it has not forgotten. Humanity is not a species," she continued. "It is a promise that life can rise from ruin and choose mercy over hate." Her image shimmered, fading slowly, leaving only one final phrase. "The light is coming back." The message spread across the galaxy within hours. Old fleets stirred, forgotten satellites powered on. Across distant worlds, people began to dream the same dream, a blue world rising again. In the dream, oceans turned to stars, and voices whispered through the water. It was as if Earth itself was calling them home. On a small planet at the edge of the Orion Veil, a young engineer named Aaron looked up from his workshop. He was not human, but his heart carried their spirit. His ancestors had been freed by the Ark's light. He spent his life studying ancient human tech, hoping to rebuild what was lost. That night, as the blue signal pulsed across the sky, his instruments came alive. He froze, reading the pattern. It was Morse code, ancient and perfect. It said only 2 words, "Find Eden." Aaron packed his ship and left without hesitation. He followed the coordinates hidden within the pulse, through systems long abandoned, through ruins of old battles where shattered ships still drifted, their hulls marked with Earth's emblem. Every step brought him closer to something that felt alive beneath the silence. At last, he reached a dead zone of space. No light, no stars, only a faint glow like mist. He pushed forward, and suddenly the void opened, revealing a massive sphere of light floating between realities. It was not a planet, not a ship, but both. And at its core shimmered a city of glass and water. The lost cradle of humanity, Eden, reborn. As he descended, he saw figures moving across the platforms. Tall, radiant, and unmistakably human. They looked at him with gentle eyes that seemed to hold the whole universe inside. One of them stepped forward and spoke softly. "Welcome back, child of the stars." Aaron trembled. "Humanity, you survived." The figure smiled. "We never left." She pointed to the sky, where millions of lights pulsed together. "The galaxy needed time to heal," she said. "So we became its light." From Eden, beams of blue energy began to spread again. Signals of peace, power, and renewal. Across the galaxy, dying worlds awakened, forgotten life bloomed. And for the first time in thousands of years, every species looked toward the same horizon, the horizon of Earth. Helena Ward's voice echoed one last time through the cosmos. "You feared our silence," she said, "but silence was how we listened. You feared our vengeance," she said, "but vengeance was how we learned mercy. And now, you will remember not what Earth destroyed, but what it saved." The stars pulsed once, then again like a heartbeat, and the signal that began centuries ago from the shadows of Bastion ended where it began, on Earth. The blue world was alive, watching, waiting, whispering to the stars. "We remember. We endure. We are home."